We here in the United States have regions, states, counties, cities, towns. France has corresponding regions, departments, arrondissements, cantons, and communes. And these are administrative distinctions, by the way. Chevigny-Lafayette today is the commune. Pays de Lafayette, the canton. Brioude is the arrondissement. Haute-Loire, the department. There are 301 of these in France today, all told. There were 83 in 1789 at the time of the French Revolution. The Auvergne-Alpes-Rhône is the region. There are 18 of these, 13 of them on the continents and then 5 elsewhere. This area embraces the old province of Auvergne, named after the Auvergne. These were Gauls, fierce, independent. In 507, the Gauls were conquered by the Franks. This was the predecessor to France. France, from Latin, realm of the Franks, and Frank in Latin is free. The first king of the Franks, the beginning of monarchy in France, and crowned in 509 would be Clovis I. Lafayette identified with the Gauls more than the Franks, just his personal preference. Geologically, this area in south-central France is called Massif Central. Tectonic shifts, Paleozoic era, created mountains and plateaus. 400 volcanoes, now dormant, are here. This is 15% of the landmass of all France. The Chaîne des Puys, near Clermont-Ferrand, running north to south, there's a string of volcanoes, 115 of them. The average temperature here is 54 degrees, 20 to 40 inches of rain a year. Puy de Sancy is the highest peak in the Massif at 6,188 feet. Puy, incidentally, P-U-Y, is a volcanic mountain with a rounded dome. At 6,188 feet, well, compare that to Denali, formerly Mount McKinley, in Alaska. The tallest peak in North America is 20,194 feet. Or, while we're at it, Mount Everest in the Himalayas, 29,032 feet. And this caps it, interestingly, the Mariana Trench in the Pacific, Challenger Deep. If you dropped from the Himalayas, Mount Everest, into the Mariana Trench at 36,201 feet, you would have to swim down a mile before you got to the peak of Mount Everest. So these volcanoes in the Massif Central are 200,000 to 3 million years old. The last eruption, 200,000 years ago, no activity in 10,000 years. So, lakes, forest, volcanic rock, it is formidable land. This was Lafayette's ground. Mountains, not the tallest, but enough to impart a sense of wonder. Forests, plateaus, ponds. Nature was immediate. This must have had bearing on his temperament. Heredity supplies ingredients, but the molding is from people and place. Imagine standing on a mountaintop, seeing way yonder, unobstructed, alone. It gives a sense of possibility, a sense of can-do confidence. Hippocrates spoke of this. Galen developed the thought, how mountains and wind affect temperament. Lafayette had what Galen would call a sanguine temperament, enthusiastic, socially open. Galen was the point man for medicine in the Roman Empire, just as Hippocrates was for the Greeks. Both argued the theory of humors. A good temperament was a balance of blood, yellow bile, black bile and phlegm. Too much yellow bile, you were short-tempered, ambitious to a fault, choleric. You're one of those who would defriend people without thinking twice. Too much black bile, you were fearful, depressed, melancholic. Too much phlegm, forgetful. And white-haired. Go figure. Lafayette had his blood, biles, and phlegm balanced. Open space, volcanoes, ponds, pasture. This shaped his worldview. No one had to say anything. No one had to point out the expanse of it all. The wonder of a full moon, a brisk breeze, black dirt. The place was idea. Courage, perseverance, resilience. It's all there in a fistful of dirt. This seed had trajectory. Growing up, I was in the city, asphalt, bricks and mortar. But summers I spent on a farm. No volcanoes, if you discount Ma's eruptions when we boys irritated her cats. Ma was my grandmother. But far enough away from town to give a sense of space. It was its own education. Dirt, especially volcanic dirt, deploys its own opinion, its own way of looking at the world. Every third grader on this account ought to spend a summer in Montana or Alaska. So, temperament is how you view what's coming at you. Habits in waiting, the searchlight scanning. Disposition is different. It's what you do about it. It's your tendency to act. The searchlight locked on. Where temperament sees the options for action, disposition chooses. It picks an option that best suits, the one that resonates, chooses the best option on which to act. As an example, Lafayette was 17. He did things 17-year-olds do. He drank, he ran with a crowd. True, his crowd was on the uppity side. It included the Queen herself, Marie Antoinette. The group was known as the Society of the Sword, named after a hangout, a local tavern. Lafayette didn't fit in. He tried. High, sloping forehead, bird-beak nose, shock of red hair. Heads did not turn when he walked into a room. Nor was he a wit. Verbal joust just wasn't in him. And he learned this. He tried to keep up with his adolescent friends. It wouldn't work. This life at court, the life of leisure, would not work. At court, it was the witty reply, the graceful step on the dance floor. Lafayette was not a good dancer. He was different cloth. But his father-in-law, the Duc d'En, thought otherwise, had other ideas. The Duke made arrangements. His son-in-law, our Marquis, would be a courtier in the service of the Comte de Provence, the elder of the king's two brothers, the younger of whom, by the way, was the Comte d'Artois. This courtier business was a do-nothing, go-nowhere job. Prestige, money, yes, but vacuous. Good word, market. Lafayette decided he'd have no part of it. He was at a masked ball, Paris, before Lent, 1775. The Comte de Provence was showing off. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew who everybody else was.